Endgame is one of the most important phrases in the game of chess, and at least a basic understanding of some of the most commonly reached positions is needed. And yet I see that most players ignore this phase of the game, and that there comes a point in their chess career that this vulnerability just shows up. So in today's video we shall be taking a look at the Philidor position, that is the rook and pawn versus rook. It's black to play in this position, and the position you see on the board is very easily drawn, but still it needs a certain amount of understanding to make this draw. And I'm going to show you the most easy method to make to easily achieve a draw for the defending side. So to master this position you have to remember a few basic points. So we'll just go and at the end we'll just check out of the 3 points. So the first move that black needs to make is to play rook to h6, and this is a very important idea. The black rook should stay on the 6th rank so that the white king is not allowed on the 6th rank, so any kind of mating construction is restricted, and that's why rook h6 is the first move. Now white plays e5 trying to push the pawn, and we are just going to keep the rook on the 6th rank. So we are just going to play rook to g6, just maintaining the rook on the 6th rank. And now white has to play e6. Oh, well, there is an alternative. If he just tries to exchange rooks with something like rook c7, this is not going to work, because let's say after something like rook h6, rook c6, we are going to exchange and we reach into king and pawn endgame, which is drawn. So if you want, I can just take this all the way to the end. This is a very easy draw and nothing is achieved over here. And that's why exchanging rook is not a good idea. And that's why in this position, white just chooses to push the pawn. Yeah, and white just decides to push the pawn, and now this is a very important moment. You can see that because the pawn is now pushed, the king cannot take shelter in front of the pawn. The king can no longer hide in front of the pawn, and that's why we are going to play rook to g1. So rook comes to the rear, and now we are going to start checking. For example, king to d6 now is threatening mate after like rook a8 is mate. We are just going to continue giving checks, like continuous checks, and now there is no way for white to make any kind of progress. So those were the easy things that you have to remember. I'll just summarize it all from the beginning. So first thing you need to remember, there are 3 things you need to remember. The first is keep your rook on the 6th rank and maintain it on the 6th rank. So this avoids your opponent's king to take control of the 6th rank and create any kind of mating possibilities. And so after rook g6, after e6, you can see once the pawn is advanced, now this is time for our rook to retreat to the rear, and that's why rook to g1 retreats to the rear and prepares for the third thing. The third thing is to constantly give check to the attack to the king and avoid any kind of coordination from the white king and rook. For example, after king to d6, now the king and rook is coordinating to give a checkmate, and that's why we just disturb the balance by giving constant checks. We just give continuous checks, and there's no way that white can make any kind of progress. So these were the 3 points, 3 very easy and basic points which you need to remember. So thank you for watching, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel.